So, guys, in a couple of weeks, there's AEW Blood and Guts, and I was actually thinking to myself that should there be a women's Blood and Gut match? And I actually agree with it for a lot of reasons. That first thing that I do want to say is that obviously the big thing that's happened in the women's division, I feel for right now that would sell a good Blood and Guts is really Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale. Like, imagine if they were team captains and they had like four women that wanted to fight on the side of Willow Nightingale and fight on the side of Chris Statlander. And then it's almost like the winner of that match, there's going to be two people. Like, you're going to have Willow Nightingale actually, let's say Willow Nightingale wins. You have her, and then you have the person who gets the pinfall. They actually talk about, who they're going to face at Wembley Stadium. They have like either Mercedes Moné, Tony Storm, and then also the ROH champion. You can do something where if they both want to face Tony Storm, you have them have a match on Dynamite or Collision, and then the winner chooses, and they say, okay, well, you're going to go, well, since you lost, you got to pick somebody else, really. That could be a thing. And you also do with Chris Statlander's side. The other big thing, so you can set up a bunch of matches and stories, and then also the other big thing is that with the women's division, they don't really have that big. They don't have a lot of storylines. Like, their biggest storyline this year was Will Nightingale versus Mercedes Moné, and Mercedes Moné coming into AEW. But otherwise, I think in their whole division, they've not had a good. I don't remember one storyline that they kind of had. I like Jade Cargill versus Nyla Rose for a while, or when you had Nyla Rose versus Riho, where I think people liked Rose a little bit more because you're seeing this big beefy woman lose to a 90-pound girl, really. So I think that one thing that can happen out of this is you can actually build a real feud, and it could lead to a good match. And then also you have Wembley Stadium. You have three women's titles that mean a lot. You have the TBS Championship. You have the ROH Women's Championship, and then you have the AEW Women's Championship. So you have to do something where actually those titles mean something. I know Billie Starkz is the ROH Women's TVT Championship, but I don't really count that as a major title. It's not been defended that much. She doesn't have a long reign, just like you see Athena and other things like that, really, and I also think that I think that will make these titles mean something because here are some rewards. The next thing that I want to say is that they're doing a show in Arlington, Texas, and unfortunately, the Supercard of Honor show is $55 for tickets. So is the Collision show. So what would happen if they want to say, we want to go bigger and we want to go better? What's going to really draw an audience? What's going to sell out a crowd? Why not a women's Blood and Guts match? And then one thing that I like about this is, surprise, surprise, you're not doing what WWE would do. They have two Royal Rumbles now for the ladies and for the men. You usually have two Hell in a Cell matches, one for the ladies and one for the men, really. What's going to happen if there are tag teams and they say, like, okay, we want a tag team Hell in a Cell match, you're going to have three matches on one show, or we're going to have at the NXT, people say, like, oh, we want to, Trick Williams is really over, we want to make him a bigger deal. What about Trick Williams and Booker T in a Hell in a Cell match? Now you have four or whatever per show, really. So I think that what AEW can do is they can set a trend saying, okay, the more popular one is going to be the men's, because obviously the EVPs and what they've been doing and the big spots they've been in, obviously that's the bigger draw. But in the following year, if the ladies are a bigger draw, then they can have the Dynamite one. But it's like whoever makes a bigger deal, the 10 people involved, whoever makes a bigger deal out of it. So I do think that, having on Collision would draw the audience for the Collision show, would draw the gate for the Collision show. And then also, as I said, you have stipulations in that. So that way, the team captain, who should be Willow Nightingale and who should be Chris Statlander, and the person getting the pinfall, and if it's not Statlander or Willow Nightingale, they have the option of picking an opponent, and that can lead to, like, between two of them, they're going to have a match, and then they're going to decide who gets like first choice at picking the opponent, really. And I know that's a little Vince Russo, because you're going from one thing to another thing, to one stipulation to another stipulation. If Chris Statlander or Will Nightingale win, then if win and they get the pinfall, they pick their own opponent. But if somebody else on their team picks an opponent, that person and the team captain are going to have a match on Dynamite next week, and the winner is going to pick who they want to face at Wembley Stadium for a women's title, and then the loser's going to pick second, really. Just a little bit like a Royal Rumble type of thing. I think that'd be good, because then you're making titles mean something, you're making matches actually mean something. Or, as I said, or the other thing too is that you have the Owen Hart tournament, so therefore, you can have them the winner, whoever wins this match is gonna compete for the TBS. Whoever's pinfall competes for the TBS, either the TBS or the ROH Women's Title, and then you have somebody like let's say Will Nightingale wins, and then she's like, okay, you know what, I want to face the TBS champion, and then there's this woman on her team. Maybe it's like Saraya or Ruby Soho or another woman that's trying to stand out and be a bigger deal. Maybe Queen Aminata, and she says something like, Queen Aminata has done a great job on our team. Maybe she should be facing, Athena or something like that. Then you have three women's matches on your Wembley show, and that's good because it needs to be a 5-hour show, really. And then that's the next thing. That this is going to be a little bit harder to talk about who should be in this match. I think that should be Willow Nightingale and 4 baby faces. You can have Mia Shirakawa, you can have Mariah May, you can have and then there could be a couple other ones. I can't really think, because they've not done a good job with the women's division of making a lot of baby faces. Like maybe Leela Hirsch, I don't know. You've not done that good of a job. But on the heel side, you could have Harley Cameron, Taya Valkyrie, Nyla Rose, Chris Statlander, Harley Cameron, and a couple other people. But this would also give you time to look at your women's division and say who's going to be future Queen Aminata, because now she's a heel, or maybe Billie Starkz, she's a heel. So the thing about it is that you can kind of just say, okay, we need to really look at the women's division, and then actually we know we're struggling a little bit, but we can actually have some time where the ladies actually compete and they do a great deal. And then you have some purpose to watch Dynamite, Rampage, more so Rampage and Collision from now until that weekend. And as I said, you'll have something for the main event of the Arlington show. And I think one bad thing you can do is you can say, okay, well, we're going to have Supercard Honor, so maybe we're going to do something like have the Von Erichs or other people on the Collision show, and actually that's kind of repeating. And then what happens usually after a Blood and Guts show is that Collision you may not have a lot of wrestlers on that show, because the Blood and Guts match is going to take a lot out of people, so it's going to be kind of like a B show. So why not say, okay, we're going to make this show a big deal, we're going to have another Blood and Guts match, we're going to have the ladies in it, we're going to work really hard to get a boost in the ratings, we're going to work really hard to sell it out. If there are still tickets available, we're going to raise the ticket prices, or we're going to say something like, okay, this worked, so next year we're actually going to do the same thing in a big city, 2 Blood and Guts shows, one for Dynamite, one for Collision, and this time we're going to raise the prices because it needs to be a business, really. So I think a women's Blood and Gut match this year would be good. And then importantly, you have 10 people that are going to work hard the next couple of weeks and actually be something and be a bigger deal. And especially this from Forbidden Door all the way to Wembley Stadium is their WrestleMania season. It's their big deal season. Would Queen Aminata want to go from this girl that nobody knew who the hell she was when she appeared in New Jersey earlier this year, to now being in front of 70,000 people wrestling Athena? Well, what about somebody like Billie Starkz? What about them talking about this dream come true to be around a bunch of people? What about Saraya saying, I won the championship this year, I've been lost on the roster, now I can be something? Or Willow Nightingale, she wasn't on the Wembley Stadium show, she's a big deal wrestler. What would happen if she said, I'm getting my title back at Wembley Stadium and 70,000 people in front of 70,000 people. I'm going to embarrass you. We're going to come full circle. You were in the crowd last year at Wembley Stadium, Mercedes Moné, and that's where you should be this year and every following year. You're nothing special, but a free ass whooping type of thing, really. There's so many things that you can tie together, really. There's so many things you can do with the show that would make 10 women a big deal, and then you can branch it off to 3 to 4 matches at Wembley Stadium, and that'd be that, really. So I think that a women's blood and guts match would be a great job for AEW Collision in Arlington, Texas. Tony Khan, please endorse my idea and hire Byron Andreas.